Sustainable storytelling, if you were to Google it, it's a thing out there in the world, but like so much that you find on Google now, you don't find the cool blogs. They don't come to the top anymore. It's often, you know, the business focused stuff that comes to the top. Sustainable storytelling is a term that they use in business environments for telling a story about how your business is sustainable. So whenever you see commercials for recycled toilet paper or electric cars, those are carefully crafted stories by a business that wants to sell you something that like draws on your sensibilities of being ecological. To me, in positive psychology, sustainability is tied in with another really important concept that's called resilience. You can't have sustainability without resilience. So we just had our write-in down at the bottom of the Cascades, talking about the trees in Oakland and how they're, you know, what stresses them out, what makes them healthy, and then what actions we can take. Like, for example, they're stressed out by non-native growth around them, and by climate change, by the drought, and not having enough water, and then they're nurtured by having being mulched, that's what Amos is doing today. He's mulching trees, giving them ways to get more nourishment, and clearing the area of the invasive species. So we're thinking more now, and with this tree planting project, about what will actually persist long term. And the things that will persist long term are the things that can bounce back more easily. So reducing our vulnerability is a very key concept to sustainability. All right, next slide, please. So one way to look at this idea is storytelling about sustainability. So I go on this rant whenever I go to the movies with my family, like, why do we need more stories about a single guy, outsmarting all the bad guys with all the guns? It's like, we need better stories. We need more narratives that show and teach solutions for global crises. So we need imaginative scenarios with the creative, the world building, like we need more, and you can think of a lot of examples. Fortunately, they're out there. I was just flashing on my crazy ex-girlfriend. There's a musical number about a community getting together and going down to the water board, not the water board, but the board of like water, to get their water to not be polluted, and they're singing a song called "Flooded with Justice," and it's creative and imaginative, so seriously, every new show should demonstrate recycling, green driving, reducing plastic, activism, corporate and political action, all the things that we need to all be doing collectively right now, and that we are doing collectively, that are not reflected on the big screen. I do want to share a resource with you that just came out 2 days ago. And if you could put this in the chat, that'd be great. It's called Good Energy Storytelling. This group of climate activists has put together a playbook for Hollywood, because like only like 3% of stories ever mention the environment at all. And this Hollywood challenge, that we, instead of product placement, we need more climate placement. Instead of, like celebrity mentions, we need more climate mentions. We need more climate characters.
What's the name of the website again?
The climate characters. It's called Good Energy Storytelling. Yeah, and also Instagram, Good Energy Storytelling. So we need imaginative scenarios. We need educational scenarios. If you write nonfiction, you problem solutions, you show resilience at work. And emotional scenarios, you can see I'm going like fiction, nonfiction, poetry here. Poetry is, like directly the, those are the emotional bullets that we need to be shooting, not with guns. We need to actually be showing our silver bullets through encapsulated concepts and terms that are, you know, Terry, you'll know what I mean. Keith, you know what I mean. Jan, you know, where they're just like the distilled ideas that really need to catch fire and become memes right now. Okay, so writers are teachers. We are all so smart. You know, a room full of writers is smarter than the average person because we read. You know, and we remember what we read. I get a nugget of inflammation, hopefully not information, in a children's book that nobody's telling you on the news, right? So even so everything that we write, we generate resources for our readers. Next, please. For those of you not on the viewing on-screen audience, there's a graph, a bell curve of resilience. And most people fall in the middle in their resilience when they're facing adversity. You know, they have recovery, they're less vulnerable, they can bounce back. At the far end of it, on one side, those who can't, who are severely traumatized, get post-traumatic stress disorder. And we all know about PTSD, and we're all hearing about it, we're all feeling it a lot after the last couple administrations, years. But on the other end of the scale, what you don't hear about as much is called post-traumatic growth. Did you even know there was such a thing? So this good need to spread is that, you know, there's stories after stories after stories about, like, someone was in a war, his legs were shot off, he lost all his friends, all his money, but once all that was cleared away, he found his meaning, he found his purpose, he built a new community that was in support of, you know, who we wanted to do. There's stories like that everywhere. So tune in for these stories of PTG, because that is just a powerful, powerful concept that makes us feel resilient just knowing about it, right? We know that PTSD is not our only option. Okay, so now we're going to do our 4 hacks. You can do the next slide. So this is participatory. So we're going to do 4 things. I'm going to just show you what to do. So the first thing, and this is like a game. I'm going to give you a choice. You can choose what to do. So for challenge number 1, and you can turn off the slide here for a second so you can see me being active out here. So the first thing, okay, you have your choice between stand up and throw your arms up and then walk across the room. Okay, that's choice 1. And then choice 2 is just shake everything where you are. Okay, ready, go. This is fun because I get to see people moving around, shaking. There's a lot of shaking going on here. Okay, this is really funny. Actually, I'm going to show you Keith because he's kind of hilarious. It's great being in person. Okay, thank you. That's great. You're done. So what you guys did was you just activated your body. This particular pose is called the power pose, and this is a psychologically resilient pose. If you've studied this, there's a study. If you stand like this with your arms, that it changes your brain chemistry. And it shifts you into a more positive state. Look, she rises. She rises. Look at that. How do you feel? Great. It's amazing. And she looks powerful. Okay, so the next thing.
Until my arms get tired.
Okay. There you go. Oh, funny story. I used to play cymbals in marching band. And at the end, you know, these big showy things. And then we have to stand there holding 12 pounds of brass for, like, you know, while the audience applauds, takes all their pictures. So that's why I'm such a positive person. I did that for months and months and years in my formative. It's also why I have all this, because it used to be muscle. Okay, anyway, next game. Okay, you have your choice between counting backward from 100 by 7s, snapping your fingers 100 times, or doing an alphabet list, and this is for writers, of course, going down the alphabet and making a list of qualities, right? Able, bright, cheerful, dour, you know, like they can be anything. So ready? Pick your thing. Go.
What do we write out?
No, just in your mind. Just a challenge in your mind. Oh, I love it. I can just feel the brain power oozing. Okay, we can move on. Did anybody make it to the end of anything? There's no prize here, but you can just keep doing that later. But what you just did was that was a mental hack where you challenge yourself to do something, and then you exert your will over your mind. Okay, so the next one is, okay, you're going to, if you're inside, find a window and look out. If you're outside, find a window and look in. There's no windows. So instead, like imagine you're looking at a photograph of a baby that you love. And then imagining the smell of that baby's head. Okay. Okay, how did that make you feel, everybody? Right? I'm seeing a lot of this. I'm seeing lots of smiles. So that was like a huge positive emotion boost. Like we're now all just like soaking in oxytocin because we just thought of a baby, right? So oxytocin is, it's the trust drug. It builds, okay. So the last thing, and there's really, those of you who are not live won't be able to do this, but you can either shake someone's hand for 6 seconds, or you can think of like a friend that you're going to call today, and think of their name and what you're going to say to them. So ready, go. Come on, guys.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Congratulations,
Three,
Mr. Person.
four, 5, 6. Okay. All right. So you guys, how do you feel now?
Yeah.
Okay. So from the time that we started this, where your mood was before and how you're feeling now, how would you rate on a scale of 1 to 10? How much have you changed?
Oh, by 5.
By 5?
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you guys in TV land?
Yeah.
You can turn on your mics. I'm happy to hear your voices too, because this is live.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so what you just did was, these are resilience hacks, and these all are hacks that contribute to post-traumatic growth. These are all scientifically validated activities that you can do every day, anytime you need a boost. First of all, you guys can sit down again. First of all, we experience, they're all standing around just doing this. Nobody's sitting down. They're just happy. Okay, so the first one with moving, that was our physical resilience. So if you move every day, you are helping yourself be more resilient. The second one was building mental resilience. When we do tasks, when we discipline ourselves, we motivate ourselves, when we use our willpower and tackle challenges, we are building our mental resilience. The third one, when we were evoking positive emotions and smelling that baby in our mind, there's a very well researched concept in positive psychology that we have to have 3 positive emotions for every negative emotion if we're going to really improve our health and ability to survive. And so when you're in a negative state, really focus on these things and make sure you do them every day, because they will boost your resilience. And the fourth one, that was social resilience. So everybody who thought about a friend and what to say to them, or shook a hand, we all increased our oxytocin, and we're all feeling much better right now because we have the we're all now primed to help one another, and that builds resilience. So building our social network is really important. So we can go back to slide now. I'm going to give you a bonus. So thank you very much for learning all those little quick hacks. I'm going to give you a bonus one for building spiritual resilience. So next time you're out in nature or even in your backyard, go sit by a tree and look up and look at all the branches and try and think of like how many branches are on that tree. And then look at one branch and figure out how many times it's split into how many little, you know, fingers and rivulets and, you know, sub branches. And then look at the leaves at the end of those branches and see like, are they actual like full flat leaves, or are they needles, or are they little, like an acacia, like little feathery things with more little things on them? And then try and guesstimate how many of those little tiny parts are in that big tree, and how each one of those little parts contributes to the whole. Okay, so that thing that you guys are feeling right now, that's called awe, right? And that is a very, very powerful tool for building spiritual resilience. Okay, next slide, please. We're going to talk a little bit about sustainable writing, which, like, how do we make our writing sustainable? There are a lot of people in this club who are over the age of, and really, really thinking hard about like all the work they want to finish while they still can. So there's a great urgency to being a senior citizen who's got a brain full of stuff that you were saving until after you retired. So the great news about being a writer at any age is writing is great for your health. I'm going to just read this little piece of science. It says, extensive research by James Pennebaker and colleagues shows that individuals who write about their emotions and thoughts experience many benefits: increased feelings of well-being, reduced physician visits, reduced absenteeism from work, improved academic grades, and an enhanced immune system functions. Another study in the Journal of American Medical Association shows that medical patients who wrote in their journal for 3 consecutive days, that's it, showed improvements that were verified by their physicians. Arthritis patients showed reductions in arthritis symptoms, and persons with asthma showed measurable improvements in breathing. How amazing is that? Just getting your feelings out on paper and thoughts. So definitely write for your health. Writing, do you like this sentence that goes from tail spinning to tail spinning? Like, when we are literally in crisis, and you know, we're in a tailspin, sitting down and putting words on paper, that helps our emotions go from our limbic brain into our human brain and move through our brain into reason and logic, and that calms down our entire nervous system. So telling a story when you're in crisis is very good for your resilience and can keep you from crystallizing trauma in your body. So that keeps you on that post-traumatic growth side. And so the next great news is, it's called How Much Can You Write in a Decade? So those hacks I just taught you, you guys, those are all proven. If you do those every day, you tackle tiny goals, if you reach out to a friend every day, so tackling tiny goals is the mental, right? Reach out to a friend each day, that's the social. Don't sit still all day, that's the movement, that's the physical. And building positivity, building positive emotion, that's emotional. If you do those things every day, people who do those things every day live 10 years longer.
You're going to be 120.
At least. I know, I'm so young. So anyway, that's the great news about being a sustainable writer, or sustaining your writing. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so just a little bit more, I don't have a clock, so I hope I'm doing all right. A little bit more about when we are telling, so sustainability stories are really important for us to be telling our readers right now. And here's some elements of telling stories about sustainability. So it's essential to focus on choice, because we want as humans to be in control. And when we feel out of control, it's traumatic and it's difficult. So we feel out of control, but our choices, when we're making our choices, that puts us in the driver's seat. And that's when we can really make a difference. So put your characters in the driver's seat, show them, you know, beat them up in Act 2, or even act one, you know, where they're really out of control, but then show them making a choice. And this is already exists in all good storytelling, right? When you, of course you need conflict, writing fiction, nonfiction, or poetry. What is the thing that is the problem? You know, I mean, we all have stories like, you know, some of the ones that you might find if you Google sustainable storytelling, which for those of you who just showed up is actually a business like thing that they do now to sell toilet paper and electric cars. Like there's stories out there that these companies tell, like my company talks about trying to save the environment, but they leave the lights off on the building all day or all night, and they won't let us turn off the lights when we leave, right? So that is a hypocrisy. So show hypocrisies. Like that's what we all really need to like be grooming the world for. Where are these knots that we need to untangle and go back to the source of who is leaving the lights on and who is responsible? So show the escalation of control and show the hierarchies of control. And remember, there's humanity every step of the way. Every person who makes these choices is human. And we have great examples of writers who do this. You know, Henry just walked in. I was actually thinking of his forthcoming book, which I loved, and thinking of Mike Ferrant, you know, Power in the Age of Lies, and John Burnberry, like all these environmental writers in our group. You know, they really do a great job of constructing this world that has these 4 C's. So the fourth one is confrontation. How are we to confront the people in power? This is the speaking truth to power. And it can be just in little ways. It can be little tiny ways, and or it can be in great big ways where bombs are dropped or whatever. But important, what the world really needs right now is stories of resilience and not doom stories. No more doom stories. Okay, so let's see, just a couple more things about this. Acknowledge, yes, subterfuge is another great way of confrontation. That's a great way of creating change. Acknowledge imperfection, learning, and curiosity. You know, no more like, you know, main characters who have everything, you know, have the perfect, you know, who look fabulous and buy the right things and like they're better than everybody else. We need to see, you know, more main characters who shop at Goodwill, or, you know, who can't feed their kids, or who, you know, are waiting around in water, like that great movie, the Oscars. Oh, sorry, my brain just went away and I was watching a movie in it. So stop with "there is no try, only do." That's really cool that Yoda said that. But the fact is there's very little do. There is try and try and try and try. And sometimes you don't live to see the do. But everything that we have, every freedom we have, every convenience we have is because people thought beyond their lifetime, and they tried and tried and tried. So act and demonstrate like you do, how to do the little things. Like I learned, you know, like just from reading novels, I learned about building a fire. Like, you know, you learn about, you know, stuffing your insulating your house with plastic bags. You know, show people making these choices. Demonstrate, give readers ideas, give them details that will help them in a crisis. You can definitely give them those hacks I just gave you. Google words like havening, like EFT, like how to build a solar water collector, how to plant a garden. Describe how these skills expand the world. Show how communities work together. Show indigenous leadership and values, because that's like the only thing that's going to save our world right now. When you're writing nonfiction, give detail about solutions. Research them as you do. Learn about positive psychology. Tons of information out there. It's a really different way of thinking. It's very strength-based. And we have so many narratives about being crushed by the big guys, by Goliath. And we need to just like, we need to be more Davids out there, right? More slingshots. Find out what the slingshots are. You really don't have to make too much stuff up. there really are solutions out there that seem like magic. Talking to you science fiction writers, it's really cool to spin ideas, especially if there's something that might work and might lead. But look at ideas that are already out there. Be inspired by what is already, because there's so much imagination out there. There is nuclear power out there that didn't get the funding that plutonium did, that is less dangerous. You know, go and find out about thorium. Go find out about our actual possibilities. That the more people know about them, the more people are informed and can go and fight for them. And then remember, the poetry that's emotional vitamins. You're giving it nourishment to your readers. So really think about what they're going to do, how they're going to grow with the vitamins you give them. So final slide. As writers, we want to do everything. We can't do everything, but we all are gardeners and we can all plant seeds. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. There's a big organization called California Green Business. And in order to become a member of this green business, this organization, you apply and they come and they give you a checklist of all the things that you need to do in your home office. And you go down the checklist and you replace all of your toxic cleaners with non-toxic cleaners. And you find a place to recycle your paper that you're going to print on both sides, and a place to recycle batteries. You just go down the checklist. It's very easy. And then you do these hacks, you fix your light bulbs. They come to your house and they inspect. And then they interview you about anything else that you do. Like I tell them that I teach people how to drive a homemade hybrid, which I can also tell you guys that later. But so they guide you through it, and then you get a certificate as a green business. And when you do that, you have to put on your website your environmental policies, which they boilerplate it for you. And then you get a cool sticker to put on the window or the window of your car or your laptop, so people know. I switched all my web operations to Green Geeks, which is solar powered and wind powered energy on the servers that host all the websites that I do. I use a font that uses less toner. So there's all these cool things that you can do as individuals, and then you become part of this network. And then you get access to all the green businesses to work with. There's networking events where you can, teach each other stuff and figure out like, okay, I'm going to do remodeling. Is there anybody who recycles timber and that sort of thing? So, yeah. And when you make that commitment, it's a serious commitment that you make. It's a vow, I promise. It's like, planet protectors. And so now when I go shopping at Office Depot, I always throw a fit, because they used to have 100% recycled paper and they don't anymore. And so it kind of makes you an evangelist. So anytime I'm with the school, I talk to the school secretary and I say, are you using 100% recycled paper? And they say, no, doesn't that gum up your printer? And you say, no, the first batch did, but now it's just like other paper, and here's your resource and you should buy this instead because it's cheaper. So anyway, so that's a little bit of what I do as a California green business, and you can too. All right, any questions? I see a quiet hand down here. Any questions from the TV audience there? I thought I saw a comment. Hold on. Yeah, so it's Keith Avery, everybody. Let me introduce you. Yay!
Hi, welcome. And yeah, I'm excited to be hosting the open mic, and I'm just asking for each speaker, if you're reading poetry, fiction, nonfiction, whatever you choose, to keep it around like 3 to 4 minutes per writer, and beyond that, it's we're all here to hear everyone share their creative work. So yeah, how do we
Start it off, Keith.
yeah, when we start it, and
Yeah.
then we can go. So I'll read I'm a poet, so I can read a couple poems, and I just had one that's more eco-related, so I thought that would be appropriate.
Wait, can I make a suggestion?
Oh yeah.
Carmen, can I suggest stop the recording and then start it again? So we have 2 different events. I gotta run back.
Yeah, Carmen.